El Mencho, the very popular drug lord, has been killed. According to various news outlets, of course, he was the leader of the new generation Jalisco cartel, as known as El Mencho. His name is quite popular, and I'm sure that the U.S. Had provided intelligence support to the Mexican government in a major operation that resulted in his death. And because of his death, we have some wave of violence that has over 250 blockades reported across 20 Mexican states. This is the latest of this news. Of course, we have another Iran meeting scheduled in Geneva, which is going to take place on Thursday. But I want to begin with Mexico and how the United States is dealing with this issue, as I know that the White House correspondent Caroline Levitt has also provided an update for its media. I want to know more from Norman Floyd Barnes, joining us from Washington, D.C.
Good morning and welcome from Washington, D.C. Today we wake up here in the city called Washington with the news about the drug cartel king killed by the military and yeah, by the military and local police in Mexico. The United States State Department had issued a statement stating that all American interests should take shelter in place in Mexico because the violence is starting to get extreme and starting to increase. Uh, the United States has high praise for Mexico, the government on the successful taking down of the drug lord, El Mincho. The intelligence was provided by the United States and also other support outside the country. But this was a total Mexican operation, and our government has high praise for the successful conclusion of this mission. At the same time, we had a incident on Sunday in Florida at the
At
president's
Mar-a-Lago.
retreat uh, called uh, called Mar-a-Lago, and a gentleman, a young man from North Carolina with a shotgun and mask, uh, breached the northern gate of the site and was killed by the Secret Service and the sheriff office there. They're still investigating the actual root cause of this, but he was stopped inside the perimeter, uh, told to put his weapons down. He did not, and he was killed. The president was not at this location this weekend. This is a place where he goes usually on the weekend to get away from the Washington area. But this is now considered another attempt on the president's life, and the investigators are looking for the motives for this.
We know even while Venezuela was targeted, we understood that some of the narratives pushed towards these drug trafficking vessels. Drug trafficking as a whole is a very important problem for Latin America to understand, and today the entire world takes its attention to Mexico. We know that more than 14 million US tourists enter the neighboring country in Mexico just as of last year. And I want to ask this question to Norman Floyd. Given the number of American tourists inside Mexico and the proximity, the neighbor to United States of America, this kind of story coming out to the big screens, it's important because earlier on in this year, we've seen how drug trafficking vessels were targeted by the U.S. forces in the Caribbean. So I want to understand the implications of tourists. And of course, right now, almost 20 of the 32 states are seeing violence. We are seeing several businesses being affected, buses being torched. The entire nation of Mexico is going through a turmoil. All of this while U.S. tourists are still stranded in some of the states of Mexico. What is the implications that you see for the coming days? Would the relationship between Mexico and the U.S. Get better with the killing of El Mencho? Your observations, Norman Flood Barnes.
Yes, thank you for the question. The actual killing of the head of this drug cartel will cause significant violence within the country of Mexico. The government over there has stated that everyone, including U.S. citizens, should shelter in place. Schools has been canceled, businesses, government function has been uh, told to shelter in place while this wave of violence continues across the country of Mexico. We do a lot of daily trafficking back and forth. People come over there for businesses, come over there for services, come over there for leisure activities. This is going to have a profound effect on our border patrol. As you know, we are in a shut down, a strike, basically a budget shutdown for Department of Homeland Security, which include Border Patrol. They are restricting people from coming in using the global entry because of the budgetary cuts. This is going to put a maximum stress on the Border Patrol in the area of Texas, in the other parts of the United States to have direct entry into Mexico. So the lines are going to be longer, traffic is going to be more intense, and the drug lords and the drug cartel is going to be impacting violence and difficulties for the government in Mexico and also at the Border Patrol. So right now, everything is on high alert because of the sensitivity of the situation, because of the traffic flow, the economic situations will have a temporary impact on this. But the word is that we'll get through it. But remember, the drug cartel is very strong. They have a lot of impact. So we can expect additional issues in Mexico and some on the border states of the United States. So the United States are not involved with the situation, but they are prepared to address it. So that means stand by. We may see some issues in Mexico, a coordinated response with the United States and Mexico to address the original issue with the cartel. As you mentioned, as we mentioned before, the cartel was one of the issues, one of the reasons why we went into Venezuela and the Caribbean. Mexico was on that list. So now you may see a more pronounced involvement and response from our resources, our law enforcement, our military resources around and close to Mexico.
Of
Stand
course,
by, news story.
the Ukraine-Russia war, the long 4-year running long war, and of course there is a news that is coming out of from the BBC in which Volodymyr Zelensky is telling the BBC that Putin has started World War III and must be stopped. He's of course talking with Jeremy Bowen, the international editor for BBC from Kiev, and we understand that some of this talk between the two sides of Volodymyr Zelensky and the BBC reporter in which he says that Putin has started World War III and it's unavoidable even after 4 years of this war that is going on. And of course, the anniversary is in the horizon from 2 days or from tomorrow. It'll be on the 5th year. So as well, I want to ask Norman Floyd Burns, what is your analysis regarding this issue? Zelensky is coming to international media in his stating that Vladimir Putin had started World War III. I want to understand more from Norman Floyd Burns.
Greetings. The comment by the Ukrainian president uh, has again arose and has come to the attention of the world. Zelensky is stating that Putin is starting World War III, meaning that this protracted war, this is what we call a trench war, a very dug out in the trenches type of conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Uh, this war is looking like it's going into the 5th year. There are no changes from the field. The commanders are stating that nothing has changed. It is just a trench by trench type of situation, and it's an issue of land. Soldiers are engaging, but the impact, as you know, is on the civilian populations. The use of drones, AI technology is increasing, but people are still losing their lives. The soldiers are still dying, and this endless conflict does not appear to be closing anytime near the future. Yes, there'll be conversations going on. Yes, there's negotiation. Yes, they're talking about ceasefire, but the war is still going on, and the average person and the soldier are not going to see any type of conclusion to this conflict this year. We're seeing right now how things are going. So here we go again. This endless conflict goes into another year, and the trench warfare is continuing, and the impact of this is not going to change the results of what's happening in Europe, and also how the United States involvement is going to be.
We know that NATO and the allied European forces did show their support towards Ukraine. However, the US started focusing on the Arctic Circle, more or less Greenland for its rare earth minerals. And ever since then, this Ukraine Russia war has been sidelined to some degree. Of course, we still understand, even as in the studio, Ali Ahmed says that Ukrainians will continue to fight until they have understanding of their land and territory, which has 20% have been occupied by the Russian armed forces in the eastern Ukraine. Your comments for the future of this war, and how do you see it ending? Do you think that there is any kind of winner from these two sides battling it out? Norman Floyd.
Yes, thank you for this opportunity. The situation in Ukraine is one of attrition. Uh, how long can they last? They will last as long as they're being supplied by the Western world, the United States, Europe, and whatever, weapons, arms, support, intelligence, all of that stuff. So that is allowing Ukraine to live another day, fight another moment. Russia, on the other side, is hell-bent on basically taking over the land, taking over the country, and fighting this war as long as Putin is in charge. So this is something that is not going away. We have one who want to continue the fight, continue to assault on the infrastructure, to continue the endless war, the endless battle, while the other part will fight as long as they're getting supplies and equipment and support from the European, this term situation right now. The United States has delegated this over to Europe and NATO to deal with, while the United States tries to deal with the Western Hemisphere, Venezuela, and other parts of the world. So right now, we have supply coming in, equipment coming in from the Western to allow Ukraine to participate in this conflict. And Russia is basically continuing this conflict because of Putin. Its economy is struggling. The resources and the people are very concerned about how long they can go on this thing. So basically, what we're looking at is how one side wants to be, how long will they want to engage in it, and the other side is how long can they accept and defend itself dealing with this. So until that point comes to a period, we will have this conflict. So it could be tomorrow, it could be next year. We can see a couple years from now this situation continue. It just basically we're dealing with a battle of egos right now. There's no reason to have this war except for the egos of few people.